Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Saints are back on the practice field today. Our guy Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, of course, Locked On Saints, was there, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. How are you, man?
Hey, buddy, doing great. Glad to be here with you.
What can you tell us about this report you have about Foster Moreau?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting one. I had gotten from a source earlier in the day that there might be something that was going on in terms of Foster and, you know, what happened last season and him playing through a bit of an injury and things like that. So I asked him about it in the post-practice press conference, and he went into, a surprising amount of detail about what it was that he played through, and of course gave a lot of love to the New Orleans Saints medical staff, which in other places does not get a lot of love. So it was kind of refreshing to see that. But of course, this is the guy that's had some very positive experiences with them because it's the same medical staff that helped him reach his Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis.
Sure.
But basically, during the season last year, he had missed 2 games in weeks 4 and 5. No, 3 and 4. I was right. 3 and 4 with an ankle injury following that Carolina Panthers game. And there was a tendon in his ankle that they had to build, that they, kind of exhausted a whole bunch of different processes and ideas for. They built a 3D custom ankle brace to keep the tendon from, as he described it, slipping around his ankle bone, which kind of makes my leg hurt just saying that out loud. He played through that for 13 of his 15 games last season. He gives the medical staff a lot of credit for that because he wouldn't have been able to fathom a way to do it. I talked to one source that told me that there's never been a player in the NFL that's played through that specific injury. It's a pretty rare situation. Foster kind of called it a niche injury. And it just kind of goes to show you a little bit of the resilience that Foster Moreau is bringing. He got surgery in January to kind of really take care of it. So he's playing a lot more freely now, not having to worry about that anymore.
That's fantastic. What should we expect out of the tight ends? What's it look? A better way to ask it, Ross. Juwan Johnson's back. Foster, obviously healthier now. What should we expect, and what are we seeing out of the tight ends right now?
Yeah, I think so far what we're seeing is a lot of versatility. I mean, you look at kind of all the different places that Taysom Hill lines up, and we all write about that. We all talk about that. But, I mean, you look at Juwan Johnson. He played fullback. He played a little bit of halfback back in 2022 for this team, tight end, slot, out wide as well. And Foster Moreau has the ability to be able to do that as well. And the young guy that they just brought in, Dallin Holker, his entire reputation during his time at college was about, first of all, his catch radius, but then also his ability to be multiple and play in a bunch of different spots. And, Foster kind of talked about it today that he expects the tight end room to be multiple and for there to be many times where you're seeing 2 tight ends on the field. The thing that's really nice about that is that it creates a lot of disguise. Typically speaking in the NFL, a 2 tight end set would be a run, or kind of a run look. But with Foster Moreau, and then you've got Juwan Johnson, or maybe you go Taysom Hill, or maybe you go Dallin Holker if he's healthy and makes the roster. I don't know that you can really look at that and completely agree that that's going to be a run play. So I think that it gives you a lot of disguise in terms of what you're able to do over on the offensive side.
He's on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. I saw on Twitter that Payton Turner was out with a toe injury and thought I was being trolled. Is Payton Turner out with a toe injury?
Payton Turner was out with a toe injury today. So we did not see number 98 out on the field. Asked about it with Dennis Allen after practice, and the head coach updated that it was indeed, as he called it, a flare-up of his toe injury. Now, remember, that toe injury kept him out for the majority of 2023, and he's already missed a day of practice out in California with an injury to the same toe. I don't know if it was a flare-up or if he just kind of re-injured the toe in some way. But be very curious to kind of see what this means for Payton Turner now moving forward, considering that this one is being looked at as a flare-up of his previous injury that kept him off the field for so long.
Good riddance, man. I mean, just at this point, what do you do? Like, it's what it is. Hey, but there was good news. A lot of guys returned, including Taliese Fuanga. What did we see? What do we know?
Yeah, actually, Fuanga had one of my favorite kind of plays today. He had a great pickup on an edge rusher. Just looked really good, really comfortable. So it was great to see him back in team drills. We saw a couple of other returns as well. Cornerback Rico Payton, who was kind of the star of those first 2 preseason games, played like one of the best corners in the NFL for this preseason. He was back for walkthroughs and individual, but didn't participate in team drills. The same thing, actually, for undrafted free agent wide receiver Mason Tipton, who, of course, was the camp darling to open up camp ahead of having to miss the preseason games. And then we also saw Lucas Patrick back after missing some of yesterday with cramping and things like that. So some pretty good returns for the Saints in addition to that, or I guess, in the face of that absence of Payton Turner. One unfortunate event, though, we did see DeMarco Jackson, the linebacker who's had a really strong camp so far, go down. He was down on one knee for a little while and then ended up being escorted out, walked off under his own power, just with the accompaniment of a trainer. Dennis Allen said that it's a calf injury, so something to keep an eye out on there.
Okay. One more schedule with the final preseason game being Sunday afternoon, and then obviously cut downs are going to follow. So what are we looking for Friday, Saturday leading up into Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say real quick, too, Juwan Johnson also returned to team drills today. I should mention that.
Okay.
So that's good news for them. So tomorrow they'll be at the Superdome. I believe that there are still tickets available. If anybody wants to come, it is an open practice. It begins at 1 o'clock. Gates will open at noon. You can find some information about that over on LouisianaSports.net. And so they'll practice tomorrow for a couple of hours in the Superdome and then, do their typical kind of Saturday walkthrough, and then they'll be ready for their game on Sunday. They're trying to treat this week as much like replicating what it's like for them to get ready for a game in the regular season. So they're going to kind of go with their typical weekly schedule here as they get ready for a Sunday game.
All right, Saints play in the Dome Sunday against Tennessee, but practice in the Dome on Friday. It is open, as Ross mentioned. All right, man, we appreciate it. Thanks as always.
Absolutely, buddy. Take care, stay safe. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.